You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Lap, what's going on?
Hi, Jason. Hi, everybody.
Hey, so welcome back to Pro Booth Talk, everybody.
Welcome back.
So rapid fire seems to be one of the more popular segments. So here we are again. The last rapid fire, we talked about trends a bit, and I mentioned we're going to start doing that on every rapid fire. But as we were preparing for this one, we realized that trends aren't that fast. So really, the trends that we talked about last time are the same. So we're probably going to do an episode dedicated to trends either twice a year or once a year instead of trying to include those in the rapid fire because they're the same. George, though, I just went on vacation with George Velasco and he asked for an update on some of the trends that we talked about. So I will throw that in real quick. He mentioned that he saw a social media post of mine with some magnets, and he remembered that during that, he said we mentioned that was something that we were trying to push and create a trend out of it. I don't know how Lap has done. I haven't asked her, but I am happy to report that we have been very successful in pushing that out, and our magnets and buttons, we've had to we're on wait lists because the manufacturing isn't very rapid to get those machines built, but we have had overlapping events and we've had to find other people that own those and have them ship them to us and rent them from them to keep up with the demand that we've created locally. So it is a really good product that we have pushed out. So if your market can
That's
support
amazing.
or your clients, how about you? How's that, the buttons and magnets come for you?
Oh my gosh, I haven't even focused on that. I've just been barely just trying to focus on my, so I haven't really fixed it much.
But it's been good. Like, Min had the machine and he shipped one out to me to cover overlap that I had on New Year's. And I just shipped that back to him. I wish I would have just given it to him when he's here for CES or had him come by the office to pick it up because, well, he probably would have preferred it to be shipped anyways. But anyways, we have done really, really well.
Yeah, they're awesome.
How many we've done, but it's been quite a few since our last rapid fire, and we've been pushing that really hard, and it's been successful. So not for everyone. It takes a second person. Make sure you buy really solid equipment. There's a lot of really cheap ones on Amazon and Alibaba.
Yeah, don't buy those.
Like I won't tell you not to get a photo booth on Alibaba. Well, I would recommend not, just so you have the local support and stuff. But a lot of people have done it successfully. I do not believe a lot of people have bought machines successfully on Alibaba. They're garbage.
Or Amazon, because I've had one of those too, and they took a dump on me really fast.
Yep. So Tecra is what I use and recommend. TECR.
American Button Company. That's one other one I use.
So they sell Tecra. So if you're buying from them,
but they sell their own too.
No, they're just resellers. So they sell Tecra machines. I mean, they do have a sticker on it that says American Button Machines, but it's a Tecra machine. So if you're buying from them, then you're buying Tecra. So that's good. It'll be solid. Just take note that there are regular presses and photo presses because the photo paper is thicker. So make sure you're buying the photo press and not a regular press. And if you have any questions, reach out. I just saw so we're meeting, I'm not sure of the order of these episodes, if they'll air before this one, but we have Troy on in 3 days. We're talking to Troy, and I saw that he just posted a social media event, where he looks like he's doing it as well, doing a really great job with it. Sounds like he's been successful. So don't ruin the prices, but it's certainly a high-end product. You need two people. You need a bigger setup. There is a consumable cost. Like the buttons aren't all that expensive, but there is an additional cost there. So, charge accordingly.
But it's very
of
neat.
course.
Yeah. Very neat.
Yeah.
Charge accordingly.
Do it right.
And it has such an impression when you hand them a button. It's not that I can't sell it. It's just I haven't been focusing on it. So I don't want anybody to think that it wasn't because I was pushing it and people weren't embracing it. The event that we brought buttons to, people loved it. I just haven't really pushed it in my market just because I've been distracted. Yeah, because they're amazing. They're amazing.
Okay, so a couple of the questions we pulled at random from Facebook posts. I think one of these were questions we got directly, but down hours, what are they? Do we offer them? And are they discounted? It seems to come up pretty often, surprisingly, in the groups.
Especially for weddings and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so when we started, we did down hours. just because we knew that there was times when the booth wasn't in use and whatever, and everyone else was doing it. Like, you should never do things because everyone else is doing it, but it just made sense because, that was the norm in the industry. And we charged like half price. Like, back then we were charging like $150 per hour. We charged like $75 per down hour. But at some point I just made the realization that like down hours cost me exactly the same as service hours. Sure, they're not taking photos and using the prints, but that's like negligible. That's literally just a few dollars. So I don't know why in the world I would cut my price in half when my costs aren't cut in half, and immediately I stop discounting down hours. If we're on, like, to me, it's like going down to the front desk and saying, hey, I'm going to a show and I won't be in my hotel room for 4 hours. Can I have discounted rate for those 4 hours? And the answer is going to be no. We just went on a cruise. We rented a car and drove it to LA and parked it in the cruise port, and the car sat there for 7 days not being used. We didn't get a discount on it because it wasn't being used. We still had that daily rate. And to me, it's the same thing. So we do not any longer, and it's been probably 3 or 4 years, I don't know. We have not discounted down hours, and no one's really questioned it. It's really hard to question, in my opinion, because again, the costs are exactly the same. Our photo booth's there, our staff's there, everything really is the same cost. So it's just really hard to justify lowering those prices. Like, if someone wants us to come set up the day before, obviously, or come set up at 11 a.m. for 6 p.m. start time, we'll just pay our staff to go set up and then leave and come back or
early
something
setup,
like that.
yeah, like an early setup fee, yeah.
But what about you, Laugh? How are you doing down hours?
When I used to do weddings, I used to sit there and do a discount of $50 for idle time. But I noticed, we don't do weddings anymore, but when we did, I just noticed that idle time became such a topic of the conversation. Like, that became the primary focus where people would like hesitate to book. And whenever you're in sales, you don't ever want people to hesitate. You want them to just make that decision. You want to minimize any sort of, roadblocks that will prevent them to just make that final decision, because once you lose them on the phone or, by email or whatever, the likelihood that you're going to get them back ready to that being that close to booking is so slim. So I stopped talking about the $50 discount for idle time, and I just included it in the package price. So this is what you get. This has fit 95% of the weddings. If it's not enough, you can add additional time afterwards. And that made it the sales process so much easier for me. So I feel like just talking about idle time creates this really huge roadblock that it shouldn't in the wedding side.
Remove friction.
Because a lot of, even if you are charging a deeply discounted rate of like, I don't know, $25, like just your labor cost, right? To them, they're not thinking how little $25 is. They're just thinking, how can I talk this person into waiving this $25 an hour idle time? So it just becomes such a roadblock that my own experience with this, just get rid of the ability for them to choose if they want idle time or not. Just package it in. You could sell it at whatever rate you're going to sell it at, and just sell it to them like, okay, we already include idle time for free. So all they hear is idle time is free. They're not thinking idle time is extra $150, $200, $50. They're just hearing idle time is free. That eliminates any sort of roadblock you guys have, and it's just a matter of you selling your service, not about you convincing them to add idle time, because you don't want that. You don't want that friction. That's what that worked for me in the later years of, when I was doing weddings. For like long periods of idle time, like what you're talking about, like setting up at 7 in the morning and then running at 6, we would do a separate setup, like an early setup fee, and then we would have the rental. We've had some events where there's like a small block of like 2-3 hour window between. I play that one by ear because sometimes it's literally 2 separate rentals, and sometimes the idle time makes more sense. It just depends on like exactly what they're asking for. Because I know some events are a little bit more unique than others.
Yeah, I agree. And everything you've got to play by ear, especially if you're quoting like marketing events and stuff, and they'll want you to set up and, maybe close for 3 hours during sessions and stuff. And again, my staff is there. I'm paying them and I need to be compensated. But, when you're looking at a longer 3 or 4 day event and they have sporadic downtimes, sure, I'll play around with that and try to make the numbers work. but also, you know, you have the magic of like up to. So if you're selling like a package is up to 4 hours and they say, well, I only need 3 hours and 1 hour you're going to be down. Well, you know, the package includes anything up to 4 hours, whether it's 1 hour, 4 hours. And that's something that Sammy and Ursula over at Photo Booth Marketing has really been pushing to start selling like half day and full day packages. That way, you know, it doesn't matter.
Just
you know,
minimize.
yeah, minimizes the friction, and like everyone's structure and pricing is different, but we charge, I feel, enough that I don't get nitpicky. So I'll either charge full price or I won't charge at all, you know, because I feel like I charge enough already. So if someone is like, I want you to be there like an hour early because we're having the ceremony in the same room, like a lot of times we'll just say, okay, yeah, no problem. We're easygoing and, you know, we roll with the punches, and eating an hour every now and again. Like if it became consistent and I had like one planner always doing that, or a lot of clients, then sure, we would start figuring out a solution and charging for it. But like it doesn't come up that often. And again, it's removing the friction. If someone is saying my wedding's 4 hours, but I want you to set up an hour early so that I can have my ceremony in that room, I'm not going to say, well, now you're going to get another full hour of charge and start explaining that my staff is still on site. I'm just going to say, no problem. We'll set up an hour early. Like it's not that big of a deal. But of course, if you're still in a position where you're charging, you know, $350, $450, it's a lot harder to give that extra hour away. So
yeah,
which is another bonus of getting up to a point where you're charging more, I guess. So, what's your most requested?
Give an example
please.
Of that in a different context on the reason why I moved away from like charging idle time or like charging. I know in the beginning I had packages that was like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And the reason why I moved away from that is because me as a shopper online, there's been a lot of situations where I'm like online and there's a sale, you know, Black Friday or whatnot. And like I add all these things to my cart, and then I have $10 more or $20 more I need to spend to get free shipping. And I'll sit there and I'll start browsing the website just to look for that item so that I can get out of paying free shipping. And I don't find anything, and I'll abandon my cart and I'll never order any of those things just because I was trying to save $8 on shipping. Not because I'm cheap, not because I didn't want those products. It's just I was so close to the free shipping that I was like, okay, I'm dead set on trying to add this extra. You know what I'm talking about? So that's how I approach it in terms of like packages. So when you talk about like, okay, do you want to charge $50, $150 for idle time? Is it really worth it for you to lose the entire sale because they're indecisive about that one thing? Because that's happened to me where I'm just like, do I want to buy this $20 item to save $8 on shipping? Do I really need it? And then I'll abandon my entire cart. And then, you know, 2 months later, I'll think, dang, I wish I had bought that back in the day, back when, you know, but that freaking shipping deal, I couldn't find anything. So that's kind of like how I've approached it. Like as a shopper, I've just realized like sometimes you just don't want that extra decision that they have to make. Make it as easy as possible for them.
And I'm just trying to look something up for the next question. So give me 1 second.
While you're looking up for the next question, the other question that comes up a lot is like, what do you do if they ask you to move the booth in the middle of the event? Like if they have you open this is for weddings primarily, I think, where they have you like in the cocktail hour in a specific room, and then they ask you to move into the ballroom. Like, where do you stand with that? Do you charge extra for that? Do you offer that? Do you offer that as an option?
Yeah. If someone asks for that, we definitely charge for it. I'd have to check, but I think it's off the top of my head. I think we charge $350 to move the kiosk, and we let them know that, you know, we're going to be down during that time. Actually, if it's time that they're already paying for, I guess we just move. It depends on like if we have to go and move a kiosk, then we charge the $350, like if it's a drop off or something like that. But if we're already being paid to be there, I guess my staff, whether they're taking pictures or they're moving a kiosk, I guess we wouldn't charge extra as long as they knew that the time was, you know, the photo was not going to be in use during that time.
Yeah, so they lose time. They lose time if they move it.
In trouble with my...
I try to talk people out of moving it, so I usually don't give them an option to move the photo booth. Not because I don't want to, not because it costs me more for my staff. I just worry about the hazards of like moving a booth in the middle of the event, like someone tripping on you or you tripping on somebody or a backdrop stand falling on someone's foot. So I usually don't give that to them as an option. I know some companies do offer like alternatives ideas like a roamer or so those are things you can explore too if a client is wanting you to move a booth from cocktail hour into like the banquet hall.
Yeah, roamer is a really good option for things like that because, if they're saying that they're going to have cocktail hour, I would always, like you, always try to push a roamer first instead of moving the kiosk.
Yeah.
And it's actually a pretty easy sell typically to say, you're, even if they're not asking to move, say, where's your cocktail hour at? If it's in a different place, try to upsell that roamer because it's a really great product and not enough people are using it, honestly.
Yeah. And it's such a unique experience for people. A lot of people haven't seen roamers in the wild. So when they do see roamers, ignore the fact that the photos are not DSLR quality. Just think of you're able to capture them in those moments that they don't have the ability to do their own selfie. Like we all, us as boothers always think about the photo quality, but sometimes you just care about getting that photo, and a roamer is a really great solution for that, especially to avoid moving a photo booth. I always worry about the hazards of someone getting hurt or, a booth dropping on somebody. So I always try to avoid that.
Plus it looks unprofessional. I mean, unless the guests are no longer in that room, I don't want to be breaking down
That's rare though.
A kiosk in front of guests pretty much ever. So in terms of backdrops, what would you say are your most common backdrops? And I'm going to exclude white.
White? You're going to exclude?
Because that's easy. White.
That's all you.
Yes. So, I mean, that should be the first note. If you're wondering what the most used backdrop is, what backdrop you should get, I'm excluding those because they're clearly the top used for us, white and black.
In the past few years, it wasn't always like that. Back in the day, it was sequins. But I think in the last 4 or 5 years, Jason, I feel like black and white has become the staple. If you're the other popular ones would be gold or silver. If you're trying to decide between backdrops and you have a limited budget, silver would be the direction I would tell you to go. Because silver will go with almost anything, but silver and gold sequins are the second most requested backdrops if you don't factor in the white and the black. And then of course, Christmas. I think Christmas backdrops, I'm not big on custom printed backdrops, but I have Christmas printed backdrops because I feel like those, even though it's only the 1 month during the year, the only time I ever use printed backdrops is during Christmas.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to use ChatGPT to tell me because I keep a database of which backdrop we use on every event, but Chat is being slow here. I'm going to stop it and tell it to do it again.
You should have a green screen. Although I feel like with the AI background removal these days, I don't even feel like you even really, there was a point where green screen was a must in your equipment offerings, but now I feel like you could probably get away without a green screen.
A lot of times you can. It depends, if you're using props, of course. Props, AI background removal doesn't know what a prop is. It's just trying to find a person. So that's important. If you have any
sometimes it can.
I don't think it's reliable for us. So if props are important, then we use green screen still. But for most occurrences, the AI background removal is good. I don't know if my internet's slow or what, but my ChatGPT is not sorting through this. So I'm just going to slide through. I do have them alphabetized so I could see the groupings. So like you mentioned, we call it gold shimmer in our stock. It just popped up. So it's the same as yours. Gold shimmer is the next, and then silver shimmer, so similar to you. And then the next highest one is wood panels. It's like a wood fence.
Oh, yeah.
Type.
Wood panels.
Next one is green, like you mentioned.
Christmas, too.
The next one is our hedge wall.
You guys have a real hedge wall?
No, it's like a boxwood. It's printed. So, and then, like you mentioned, a lot of the Christmas ones at Christmas are really popular. But those white, black, green, and then the silver shimmer, gold shimmer, boxwood, and the wood panels are our top backdrops. And we've got a lot, I'd say over 80 backdrops to choose from. And those are a considerable number of those. So, 80
backdrops is insane to me. That's insane.
It's a lot. It could be overwhelming. And if I was starting over today, I wouldn't have all those.
White, silver, and gold.
Yeah, I would be. For the longest time, we were like, we're the company that gives you options. You could have different photo booth styles and different backdrops and different prop packages. And again, it's all about friction. And the more choices you give people, the more they're just confused.
The harder it is for them to make the the harder it is for them to make the decision.
So I would keep things much more simple if I were starting today. Let's see. Going back to the
Well, it
question.
depends. There's some companies that book because they have those backdrops. I know there's some companies that
Yeah, and
their
we've
clients
certainly
love them
had
for that. Yeah.
a number of people that book us because of our choices, but I feel like it creates more friction than there are those clients that are like certainly if you look at our Google reviews and search for like keywords, no one is like loving us because we have a huge backdrop selection. That's not ever mentioned. So
Yeah.
That's that.
We have like 25. We have I don't have 80, but we have 25. But honestly, we just use white, black for like 90% of the events. And then Christmas, we go through our holiday backdrops. And then every now and then for weddings, we'll get like the silver and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We just got a red curtain one on our last order that I love. It's so beautiful. And
Red
we
sequin?
try to, no, it's like, it looks
curtain?
like a red curtain, like that you'd see like at a theater
printed.
or something. But
Yeah.
it's printed and it looks really, really good. And there's also like a black bokeh that is my favorite. Like it's really dark but still has like these bokeh like spots on it. And it's my favorite, but not as many people.
Oh yeah,
agree with
just
me.
because it's your favorite doesn't mean people will pick it.
They don't. That's the truth. In fact, like my favorite photo strip, because of course we offer a lot of different photo strips. And again, if I was starting today, I wouldn't. I would just stay really, really simple and minimalistic. But we have those, so we offer them. But my favorite is one I created years ago that is actually me and my wife's silhouette dancing from our wedding. And
oh my gosh, how
unfortunately,
cool.
I love when people choose it because they don't know that it's me and my wife.
The history.
And it's been used like 20 times, but I'm like, that's the best one. Use that one all the time. But yeah.
I like really minimalist print designs, like especially with strips. They look just so much classier with just like a nice font.
Mm-hmm.
Nice,
and we've moved in
font.
that direction a lot, and we try to push people in that direction. But
so much
sometimes
more modern
they still
looking.
want, especially in Vegas, a lot of times people want like the Vegas photo strip and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of comes with the territory.
Over the top. Yeah.
Continuing on with backdrops, I mean, this is a better question for someone that sells backdrops, but backdrop care, I can't tell you the proper way to care for a backdrop, but I can tell you what I do, and I just throw them in the washing machine.
Me too.
Turn them inside out. I don't know if that does anything. But.
Yeah, no, but I've seen Brian from PB Backdrops and Timo, they both commented that, throwing in the wash is fine. This is vague memory, but I believe both of them have said that.
And I think one of them mentioned to not put them in the dryer to, put them on the frame and let them air dry. But we actually throw ours in the dryer as well.
Just
the
like
dryer
on a really
does knot them up a bit. So it's not like unknot them, but, as long as you pull them out and fold them pretty quick, they're not going to wrinkle up. And I haven't had any issues with them being damaged or anything like that.
15 minutes maybe and they're dry because they're made out of like a polyester material. So they dry pretty fast for me, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe.
And so I saw somebody ask about steamers. So if you're using the pillow top stretch backdrops, like in the beginning, I know steamers because I started before those backdrops existed. And that was a nightmare, like curtain. And that's why if you ever see old photo booth companies, they almost exclusively had sequins or curtains. And the reason for that is because there's no wrinkles. You can't see the wrinkles.
Wrinkles out for your life.
Yeah. So whenever we do something that does need to be steamed, I have been through so many different steamers, and there is one clear option to me that has just most of them break after a couple of uses. This one we have been using for years. We take it with us, and with our bus, we still have to steam that whenever we use it. There's a few things that we have to steam, so we still use them, and it is incredible. It is the Conair Garment Steamer.
Is it the one with the base that has a stick and then it stands up on the stick?
No, I'll share the model number so people could look it up. But I've got 4 of them. I've been using them for 8 or 9 years. They're just as good as the first time. They're really awesome. And they just rip wrinkles out of everything. They're so good. But it's Conair, Conair Garment Steamer, 10-inch steam time, 10 min steam time. I don't know what all that is, but the model number is GSX WH is the manufacturer's model number, and I definitely stand behind that steamer. On the webpage I'm looking at right now, it's $65. I don't know what it would be on like Amazon or something like that, but yeah, it's a really, really good steamer.
I hate steaming. I do not miss those days. I'm glad I have nothing that I have to steam ever. I'm so glad.
Yeah, every
I
event was
hated those things.
like 30 or 40 minutes of steaming before
No,
like
I would steam for like an hour and a half, and it still, those wrinkles would not go away. Maybe I was just using a really bad steamer, but I hated it.
yeah, for you newcomers, the things that we went through, we crawled so you can run or whatever the saying is. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah.
These pillowcase backdrops, man, they changed our lives. You don't even know. They changed our lives.
Yeah, and they're great. And I know everyone has their own manufacturer. Some people order from China. I used to order from China, and you can get them considerably cheaper, but I found such a discrepancy in consistency. Like sometimes the zipper wouldn't zip at all. Sometimes it was too tight to zip. Sometimes, we had to use pliers to zip it. And if there's something wrong, like it was a nightmare to
There's
get it
no
reordered.
customer service. Yeah.
So like in a pinch one day, I ordered from Brian, or what's his other name that everyone knows him as? No, Brian's other, Scott. A lot of people know him as Scott. I think he's Scott on Facebook. So
PB
I ordered from him, PB backdrops in a pinch once, and I've never gone back. Like we order so many backdrops from him. I know that I pay more than I would if I ordered direct from China, but he's
quick.
He is so fast. Like he'll give you realistic times, but like we usually get our backdrops in like 5 to 6 days. Like obviously
it used to take 5 to 6 days just communication back and forth with China just to get them to understand what I'm ordering and getting a total from them. So, I mean,
and those are custom backdrops. Like I'm sure if you order something stock, I don't know what the ship time is, but I've had things that came wrong and reached out to him and he had them corrected quickly. Like
no questions.
Customer service, the product, the consistency, no problem with any backdrop fitting or zipping or anything. He's always innovative and coming out with new products and improving the backdrops, increasing the thickness of the poles or whatever it is. I definitely stand behind Brian and PB backdrops. I know Timo and I love Timo, but I just never ordered from them. So I don't know, like, I'm sure it's just as amazing, but I just can't really speak from personal experience. But knowing him, I'm sure it's great. And I know there's other backdrop companies out there. They may be great. They may be horrible. I can only speak from my own experiences. So
I've ordered from China, Timo. I've ordered from PB Backdrops with Brian. Gosh, I don't know what to call him. Are we calling him Brian?
Well, that's his name.
Or we call him Scott. But yeah, I've ordered from all three, and it just depends. It depends on, I love ordering from all three. China has that whole 5-day communication, slow communication. And now that I've been in business where I'm at and the clients that I have, I don't have 5 days of time to communicate and then 14 days to get it delivered. So I don't even bother with China anymore. Not because I didn't like their backdrops. I had consistent stands and backdrops and stuff like that. It's just the communication and just the sluggish back and forth. I don't have enough time
with the time zones, if you write them an email, like they can't even read them till the next day. And then you can't even read their response till the next day after that.
Yeah. The 5 days worth of communication killed me. So I only order from Timo or Brian at PB Backdrops, and then Timo is Booth Active. So I only order from those two. Yeah.
And I also want to shout out Sarah, which I've never met. I don't know if she goes to PBX. Hopefully she is. I'd love to meet her. I certainly owe her some drinks. She works with Brian, and she has like saved me so many times that I like my graphics just a little bit off, and she will like email me within like 20 minutes and be like, "Hey, did you realize that this is set this way or whatever?" And that's certainly not the service that you're going to see when you're ordering things from like China or something. They're just going to print what you send them in. And Sarah is Brian's graphic person. I assume that's what she does because she only reaches out to me about graphic questions. But she's over the years, I've worked with her a lot because I just ordered, I think 7 backdrops yesterday. We order a lot of backdrops because we do a lot of step in our beats and custom stuff for clients. So definitely a solid team over there.
I think one of the questions that comes up is like, what's the difference between the 7 foot 6 inches versus the 8 foot? What do you guys use?
So this is something else that I would do differently if I just started. We use a 7.5 foot, like the standard size, I believe they call it. And like, I feel like I would go bigger if I was just starting today, just so it's more commanding in the room. I like the 8 foot. When I see them, like, they definitely stick out to me.
8 foot tall? You talking about 8 foot, the height being
8 feet wide. I think they're 7.5 by 8 feet wide, the other ones. But they also have the 8 foot by 8 foot. They call them like the true 8 foot.
Yeah.
Backdrops
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The true 8 foot or the 7. I'm talking about the height. Like, which one do you guys use?
So when they say true 8 foot, it's 8 by 8. He also has a 7.5 foot high, 8 foot wide.
Yeah.
But we use 7.5 by 7.5.
Oh.
It is, I don't know, it's a little smaller and fits in spaces, I guess. But I wish that I had done the 8 by 8, but it's too late for me to go in that direction. Like I said, I've got tons of backdrops that I'm not going to replace.
I like the 7.5 by 6 inches because when you're in a residential at 8 by 8, you just don't have the clearance. I don't know
for residentials,
how often.
definitely.
Yeah, like I don't do too many residentials, but when I do residentials, like I tried a true 8 by 8 one time, and the one time that I used the 8 by 8, because most all of our backdrops are 7 feet 6 inch tall, so we have the clearance in like a residential. But the one time I took a true 8 foot, it like hit the light.
Yes.
I feel like of all the times that we go to events with the standard 7 foot 6 inches, the one time I take a true 8 foot is the one time that I am stuck in a residential without knowing I was going to be in a residential, and we had to like lean it to get it to fit.
That.
So
yeah.
So I wouldn't get a true 8 by 8. Like I honestly like the 7 foot 6 inches just because most of the time
versatile.
you don't. Yeah, most of the time you have the clearance for a true 8 by 8, but it just takes that one time where you just like, God, this is terrible. It's just that one time.
The only downfall, I guess, really is the groups, because it's not long enough. But really, if you have that big of a group, an 8 foot isn't going to make that much of a difference anyways. So I retract my statement. I agree with you. The 7.5 is the versatility and it doesn't really give it that much more to be an 8 foot.
It's a non-issue 99% of the time is non-issue, but it just takes that one event where they fail to mention that they have,
Yeah.
ceiling limits. Yeah.
And I have bought what I think it's called like the back prop or something like that. It's like something you attach to the back if you're outside so that the wind doesn't blow it over and things like that. Yes. I haven't used it because like it goes into the ground, like I think there's stakes or something, and if I'm outside, I'm usually like in a parking lot or something somewhere where I can't put things into the ground. I think he has a system for that too with sandbags, but we don't do all that many outside events, and I just don't remember that I have it, I guess. But I looked at it at PBX and I bought it because it was really solid. Like I put a lot of weight on the backdrop and it didn't push over. So if you have experience, what is your experience with it?
My experience was, I mean, when I have used it, I knew I was going to use it. So I packed it. It's very small and compact. It's like maybe like that big. It really came in handy. We usually try to always push to be put up against like a wall. But there's occasions where before you go that they're not going to have a wall for you. And that's the occasions where I've packed it, and it's come in very helpful. But those are events where, like we have the ground that we can stake into, and then there's like I think there's like a crossbar or a bungee, or like my team
it's like a rope or something.
Yeah, but it has saved us when we've needed it. I've only used it maybe 3 times, but just the 3 times that I've used it, it has allowed me to set up a backdrop where there would have been no way beforehand, because like we have even like with these big old backdrops, even like a slight gust of wind can get them, flying. So having that is very useful to have just as backup, especially if you're like a one-man team where you run your own events. It's very easy for you to have that in your kit ready to go. The investment is not that huge. Like I think it's like $200.
I think I don't want to say any prices, but I feel like it was less. Maybe it was 200. I can't remember.
150 is like under 250, but just think like you not having a backdrop altogether versus you being able to set up a backdrop like in the middle of the ranch, because we've been like in Malibu, sometimes they have us like just in the open field, and instead of like praying that your backdrop doesn't go flying, that really stabilizes it. It's helpful. It's good to have. For me, it's a little bit harder because we have like multiple booths, so we can't I don't know, sending out a backdrop stand with
With
all
every
of our
booth.
booths when we
Doesn't make
only do
sense.
like 3, like we've only done 3 in the entire year that required that. That
Just
wouldn't make sense for
planning
me.
in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also with PB, like I have like designed a number of like unique products for clients where they're like for our Suspended 360 recently, I had a client that wanted a circular backdrop, but they wanted it to like fit inside the trussing, which isn't a product that was sold. So I emailed Brian and told him the dimensions, and same thing. Like we ordered this and it was to us in like 6 days, like a product that doesn't even
Insane.
exist. So
yeah, that's insane.
and it's been a number of different things. And I've designed
insane
products that
because-
now he sells on his website because, they turned out to be good products. And, same thing, just design them very quickly and come
Yeah.
out. So can't endorse them enough simply because of the service that they've
Yeah.
provided. And so backdrop kit, just staying on the subject of backdrops, what does it? You mentioned that the back prop, whatever it's called, doesn't go out with every job. What is in your backdrop kit? Anything?
Just the backdrop stand, the backdrop. And I try to send out 2 white backdrops if possible, just because we've had scenarios where, wine has been spilled on the backdrop or so sometimes it's helpful just to have a second white backdrop. We have so many. I think we have like 12 white backdrops, and we don't typically have 12 events all at once. So I try to send 2 white backdrops if possible. It's my backdrops before. I used to do green and white back before AI background was a thing. But now when I order backdrops, I do white and black because then they're interchangeable. And the black is great for AI background.
So I used to do that, but I found that, and our other backdrops, like if it's a design like the wood panels or the hedgewood or whatnot, we still have like one on one side and one on the other side. But I found, just for the reason you mentioned, white does get dirty and stuff, we always do white now, so that if it's dirty, we can just flip it around. So all our whites are white on both sides.
Oh, really? See, I was debating that, but I like the idea of having black because black has just been growing in requests in the past.
I mean, we have black backdrops as
years.
well, but if someone orders...
Is black and black or black and white?
No, I mean, someone tells us what kind of backdrop they want before we go out. So if they want white, we bring a white. So if it's dirty or anything, we can just flip it around real quick. There's no reason to have that black if the customer requested white. And our blacks are also black, but all our like designs have different designs on each.
Well, I can't say that because there's been clients that have been back and forth between white and black. So white and black has been perfect for me because sometimes we show up and they still haven't decided if they want the black backdrop or the white backdrop.
Well,
So for me, the white and black works. I just
Yeah,
try
it
to
makes
pack like
sense.
an extra
And-
white just in case.
we did that. I just don't like packing extra stuff that we don't have to pack. So we
Yeah.
like the white, so we can just quickly flip it around if we put it together and we see that there's something on it.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, we have tons of extra whites because they get dirty and they're obviously being cleaned way more than the other ones. And we don't want to ever
Yeah.
realize that we don't have any readily available in
Yeah.
our kit. So we also we only have one of the back props. So we don't have those in our kits, but we do. I don't know if other people sell it, but again, going back to PB backdrops, they have that, the light
Sun
cover.
blackout thing.
Yeah, the blackout. So we do keep that standard in every kit, just because we don't ever know if we're setting up in front of a window or what's going on. So, and that comes in handy quite a bit. If there's a bright light behind you, we just can quickly throw that up on the back. Or else if we're in a situation where we think we're going to be up against a wall, but maybe that wall's glass, or we are not against a wall and people could see the backside, maybe it's a mitzvah and they have, I don't know, some 80s theme, and then on the back is like a Halloween thing. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So we'll throw that black cover up real quick and hide it. So we like those things a lot, and we definitely have those in every bag. They're really quick and easy to put on. And we also have a very basic toolkit that just has like an Allen wrench so we can tighten the pieces, and needle-nose pliers so we can pull it apart if sometimes they get stuck. And then we have
I don't have that.
Yeah, sometimes they get stuck in there, so it's nice to have just a little needle nose.
Yes, it is.
And then finally, we have like a
That's
clamp.
rare though, right?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. But we've had
Yeah.
to like track down like maintenance and ask for a needle nose before. So it's cheap enough and small enough that we could just throw it in our kit and not have to worry about that. And then for those times that we are outside, in all our kits, we have like a clamp and ratchet straps. So we can essentially put clamps on each side of the backdrop and ratchet them off to some kind of structure nearby. And we've got those in the kits as well. So if we ever need.
Dang, you guys are very, very prepared. I just have the backdrop, stand, 2 backdrops. That's all I have. I don't have. I mean, I send out like a toolkit that has like a screwdriver but that's more for like the photo booth than the backdrop stand. Yeah.
Yeah, each photo booth has its own little toolkit for what it needs as well. But well, 43 minutes about backdrops. It's turned into more of a backdrop episode than a rapid fire, but that's okay. Now I regret having. What was that first question we even at? Oh yeah, down hours. What a waste of time. We should have just done backdrop questions.
Can we just crop it out and then create a whole different?
That's okay. One
That's
random
funny.
questions and then backdrops. Ciao. All right. Thanks, Lap. Thanks everyone for tuning in,
Thanks, guys.
and I'll see you next time.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.